Hey 12s, welcome back to the next video. We're going to move on to enzymes now, and they are biological catalysts. All right, dot points have changed. Keep those in mind. All right, so what is an enzyme? Enzymes are composed of proteins. So enzymes are actually proteins, and they're organic catalysts. All right, so an enzyme binds to a substrate, which goes through some sort of chemical change. All right, it becomes a product. So you can see that here. Okay, we have our enzyme here, and it has a specific active site shape. All right, that substrate fits into the shape. All right, chemical change will occur, and those substrates then break off from one another and become products. All right, the opposite process also works. You can get two substrates coming in, all right, and being put together. That's a different thing. It's still enzymes, it's just a different type of reaction. All right, so what are some specific features of enzymes? They are reusable. They can do their job over and over. All right, they're specific. They only have one active site for a particular substrate. All right, reversible. Most enzyme catalyzed reactions are reversible. All right, so that's what I was just mentioning. There's breaking things down. So the two molecules into one into two individual molecules, and that is what we call, of course, catabolic reactions, and then anabolic reactions, which is getting one molecule of each different thing and putting it together to make a singular molecule with two different parts. Okay. All they do is they speed up reactions. All right, they're catalysts. They have an active site, and that's the particular part of which the substrate goes into. Again, they are proteins. All right. They are all catalysts. All right, there's a subset of catalysts. There obviously is other catalysts as well, such as metal ions. They act on an entire biochemical pathway. All right, so things can change multiple times thanks to multiple enzymes. For example, if we think back to our tripoperon, we had charismate being turned into another molecule, being turned into another molecule, and then finally into tryptophan. All enzymes end in A's. All right, so their names will end in A's. So hexokinase, all right, alcohol dehydrogenase, etc. If we're drawing this chemically, all right, enzymes are typically displayed above the reaction arrow in the chemical equation. So think of the photosynthesis equation. You're going to have light on top of that as it acts as a catalyst, for example. All right, there are 10 features of enzymes that you need to be aware of. So what do enzymes do? Enzymes speed up biochemical reactions by lowering the activation energy. Okay, so that's what you can see here. So the line here is the activation energy without a catalyst. So activation energy without a catalyst. When it does have a catalyst, that's the activation energy. All right, so it only needs half the amount of activation energy in this case. And they also increase the chemical energy within the reaction. Okay. Enzymes contain an active site, as mentioned previously, which is where the substrate binds to. And this active site is going to be this part here. So I'll do that in purple. Active site is this part here and has a specific shape depending on the substrate. Okay, so you can see that in the images there. Upon binding, the active site undergoes a conformational change to accommodate the substrate, and then the substrate undergoes a small change in turn. All right, so substrate binds, there's a small change, which then obviously changes the shape of the substrate, and then they get catalyzed, which allows it to become the products. All right, we're also going to talk about activation energy here. Again, every chemical reaction requires an input of energy to start. So think of these sticks. All right, that doesn't just set itself alight. All right, you need to set it alight with a lighter, or lightning needs to strike and it starts to burn. Okay, there needs to be some input of energy. So the activation energy is the minimum amount of energy required. So the minimum amount of energy for some chemical reaction to occur, or to energize the atoms or molecules to a state where they can undergo the chemical transformation. That's the activation energy. All right, and again, we're going to go over this. So we have catabolic reactions and anabolic reactions. Okay. So think of your cat. What does it do if you leave it at home? It starts to scratch your couch, and it starts to break your couch down. All right, it's exactly like catabolic reactions. Breaks, not the couch this time, but it breaks complex molecules down into simpler ones. So that's where you have a double sort of molecule that's some sort of substrate, and that gets broken down into two molecules, and that's your product. Okay, catabolic reaction. Boom. Whereas anabolic, the way I think of it is you just think of people who are on anabolic steroids. What do? They're building muscle. Okay? If they're building muscle, they're on anabolic steroids. So anabolic reactions builds something. So you get two different substrates coming together to create your product. All right, that's your anabolic reaction. All right, so again, cats break things down, anabolic steroids puts things together. Pretty simple. All right, and these are some of the graphs that you can see with the activation energy. Okay. And then, of course, we have biochemical pathways. So this is an example of one. Okay. So glucose being broken down into fructose 1,6-biphosphate. All right. So obviously, we have 1 hexokinase, 2 phosphohexoisomerase, and 3 phosphofructokinase. They are all different enzymes. All right. So in a biological pathway, one enzyme will function to catalyze the substrate into a product. That product will then become the substrate for a second enzyme. All right. In this case, glucose is your substrate, gets broken down by hexokinase into glucose 6-phosphate. Now that's the next, and that's the product of that first reaction. And now that's the substrate for the next reaction. It continues on for multiple reactions there. All right. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.